Hi everyone, I'm Fiona and welcome back. So, are you ready to elevate your pizza game? Well, you're in the right place. I have perfected the ultimate sourdough pizza. It has a perfect balance of chewiness, crispiness, soft and airy inside, so many different layers of flavors. So, let's dive in. I'm going to go through this process day by day. This is how I usually do it. So, the night before I go to bed, I make my leaven and I feed my starter. So, a leaven is basically, as you can see, the same amount of water and flour with a little bit of yeast. I mix it all together, put it on the counter for about an hour until I see some movement going, then put it in the fridge. At the same time, I would feed my sourdough starter with flour and water. Also, keep that on the counter, don't put it in the fridge. So, in the morning, the next day, I now have a very active, beautiful sourdough starter and a beautiful leaven that just came out of the fridge. Now I grab a big bowl. I like to measure everything on the scale as I go. Every time you add an ingredient, just set the scale back to zero. That makes life a lot easier. Add all your leaven. The water is room temperature, the olive oil. Now bring it all together. Make sure it's all mixed in before you add the flour. Mix in the flour until it all comes together. You don't want to over mix here. You want to mix it just enough so you don't see any dry bits of flour. I have a wet kitchen towel. I'm going to cover up my dough and I'm going to give it about 15 to 20 minutes to hydrate. Once it's hydrated, it feels a little bit softer. And now this is when you add your salt and your water. I'm using the pinching technique, so I'm pinching the salt and the water, forcing it to go inside the dough. Once I've done that for about maybe a couple of minutes, I know everything's is incorporated. I'll bring the dough out on the counter and start doing the slap and fold technique. If your hands feel a little bit too sticky, then use a little bit of olive oil or water and continue slap and fold. Do the slap and folding maybe about 40 to 50 times. I would give it about 5 minutes until you start seeing the texture of your dough changing. Once that is, cover it up with a little bit of olive oil and I'm going to let this rest overnight in the fridge. So this is day 2 and my dough is going for its first proving in the fridge. One thing I forgot to mention, on day 2, you can use your mixer with a hook attachment to bring the dough together if you don't want to do the kneading with hand. So now it's day 3 and my dough is out of the fridge. It looks beautiful. It has doubled its size, maybe a little bit more. Now bring out the dough and this is when we do the shaping. I would say I like to make this into 4 pizza doughs. So if you notice there is a smooth surface, that was the top of my dough. I've flipped over and pinched all the sides together so the smooth surface is on top. Then put it on the counter and start pulling it towards you. This way you're creating tension and you've got this beautiful dough. Do that for all of them. And if your hands feel a bit sticky, the dough is hard to work with, just put a little bit olive oil on your hand. That should help the process. Once you've done all the dough is ready to go and rest. So I have a baking tray there and I'm going to put generous amount of semolina there. You can put flour as well. I like semolina because it gives a little crunch to the dough. Cover it up with a plastic wrap and then a kitchen towel. So you can go into day 4 with this by putting this dough in the fridge, or you can make it the same day. Just let it rest on your counter to proof for another 2 to 3 hours until you have this beautiful airy dough. This dough, you don't need a rolling pin. So you open it up with your hand. There are a few techniques. If you see with my fingers, I'm going around creating my crust first. And then with both my hands, I'm going in the middle, opening it up. Just make sure you have plenty of flour or semolina at the bottom and on top. Another way of opening up your dough is with your both hands very gently pulling the sides, staying away from the middle and more focusing to the edge. Keep in mind not to lose that crust we created. Another way is using your fist and gently just going around and letting the dough just drape by itself. So whichever way you feel comfortable, use that technique and practice a little bit. Here I'm showing you some fun ideas of what to do with your dough. So if you have some dough left over, you can easily put it in the freezer. Just put it in a freezer bag, either on the first proof or the second proof. Just continue with what you have when you bring it out of the freezer. Or you can make these beautiful cheesy veggie doughs and warm them up the next day or 2 days, and they are delicious. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you give this recipe a try. Well, thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for some more fun videos that I'm working on.